Welcome to Trading Nation. I'm Brian Sullivan. Let's welcome in Ryan Detrick, Senior Market Strategist, LPL Financial, doing some great work. Ryan, though, you may not make some of the bulls happy. Why do you believe the market is the most overbought in 22 years?
Well, Brian, that's right. You know, there's a scary headline going around recently that the market is the most overbought in 22 years, and it is. If you look at the weekly RSI on the S&P 500, it's above 80. Now, that's kind of a mouthful. What's it mean? Well, that's an overbought, oversold indicator, and it is the most overbought in 22 years, Brian. Now, as what we like to do here at LPL Research is dig in a little bit more. What does it mean? Well, fortunately, sure, near term, we could have a correction at any time. You know, 70 new all-time highs for the Dow this year is the most ever. Looking at 13 straight months on a total return basis for the S&P higher, one of the longest streaks ever. Near term, sure, things are overbought. But, Brian, we look back since 1950. 13 times the S&P has been as overbought as it is currently. 1 year later, S&P higher 12 times, up about 11% on average. So, in other words, really strong returns going forward, you know, even after we're so overbought, which is one of those rare times that maybe this could be, you know, the continuation of the bull market and things still look pretty good, even though we're historically overbought here.
Momentum begets momentum, I suppose, Ryan. And I know you're a technician, but how much does tax reform change the thinking? Because all of a sudden, it looks like corporate taxes are going to go down 14%, which means we're going to add all these to the earnings. Does that, and I mean this in a good way, muck up the charts?
Well, you know, the charts hopefully ignore a lot of that news. Unfortunately, if you followed a lot of the advanced decline lines and momentum things, you have ignored a lot of this news. But, you know, it is there. In our opinion, sure, a lot of this rally this year has been priced in. Now, what hasn't been priced in is maybe if you look at financials and small caps, those should really benefit from some of these policies that are coming forward as rates go higher. Look at rates the last couple of days, 9 months high in the 10-year yield. And really globally, Brian, we're seeing higher yields across the board with low inflation. That could be a real positive if you look back at history for small caps and financials, two groups we really like in 2018.
I'm going to use your stats back at you because I think these are really just unbelievably telling. Longest streak ever for the S&P 500 without a 3% correction, and maybe more amazingly, it is the first time in the history of the S&P 500 that we have ever had a year where we had a gain on a total return basis, meaning including dividends, ever. We've never had a year where we haven't had at least one down month. Is there anything, Ryan, that makes you nervous or gives you pause right now? These are pretty amazing stats.
Well, you're right, Brian. And when you look at history, go back since the Fed started in the early 1900s. When you have a new Fed chairman, you can have some rocky markets initially. So, of course, with new leadership next year, that's one potential concern. The other concern, sure, there's overvaluations across the board, but earnings are still very, very strong. So we like to see that. But the last thing I want to say, Brian, up 20% for the year. People are thinking, oh, that's got to be worrisome for the next year. We looked, since 1950, the S&P has been up 20% for the year 18 times. The next year, been up 16 times. 10 of those times up 10% or more. So just because we're up a lot this year, with the economy still looking good, led by earnings, there are some concerns near term, absolutely. But all in all, you know, we could be sitting here a year from now. We think, you know, equity markets will be up, you know, potentially double digits from now.
I can't help but think it's a rolling stone market. Time is on my side, to quote the Stones. And I tell you what, the market is rolling. Ryan Detrick, LPL Financial, we appreciate your views as always. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays, Brian. See you soon.
Thank you.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.